Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. This is a preview of some new features in Church360 Unite. My name is Peter Frank. Go ahead and share my screen so that it is live. There we go. I'm the Senior Manager of Marketing Technology here at Concordia Technology Solutions. You have probably seen me in the past. I've led numerous webinars, although not so much this year. This year I've had a team of people helping me out, as you'll see sitting around the table here. And then we've got one guy remote. So let me introduce everybody. Live from Kansas City area is Luke Booth. Luke is our lead developer for Church360 Unite and Church360 Ledger and works with Church360 members, does a number of different things. So he is the one who put together these features and will be here to answer any questions that I can't answer today. So hopefully there's not too many of them, but Luke, I appreciate that you've got my back. Also joining me across the table, Stephen Jenkins, our software consultant for the West Territory. Dave Farnham, our software consultant from the East Territory. And Ken Ohlmeyer, who goes all over the place. So you guys have probably seen emails from them about webinars this year. They've helped me out as I've been focused on some other things. They've been leading the charge on sharing the story of Unite and our other products with our churches. And so I'm glad that you guys are all here. We're doing something a little different today. You probably have not seen a webinar with 5 of us presenting. Today we are going to be releasing or showing some new features that will soon to be released in Church360 Unite. And typically when we do that, we do some internal training here at the publishing house to let the guys who are talking about it know about it. And as we were talking about this training, we're like, why don't we just let everybody else watch while we're doing it? So Luke obviously knows what we're talking about today because he wrote the code for it. But Ken, Dave, and Stephen, they are brand new to this. They haven't seen it yet. So they get to see it along with you guys. They will be asking questions kind of on your behalf as we get into this. But if you have questions yourself, you can answer. And so that's where we'll go next. A little bit of housekeeping. First off, we're planning about 20 minutes of presentation. We're just talking new features today. And while they are cool, they're not going to take that long to show off. So I always underestimate that, so we'll probably go closer to 25 minutes, but we'll see how it goes. I'm planning about 10 minutes for questions. We can go over. I don't mind going over that, but I'm guessing there won't be that many. But do ask questions throughout. So several of you already let us know through the chat feature that our audio and everything is good. If you do have any questions, please just go ahead and use that chat as well. If we see them as we're talking, we'll answer them at that time. Otherwise, we'll get them during the Q&A. And finally, we are recording this. I made sure to hit the start record button, which is always a little worrisome that I'll forget that, but that is recording. And so if you are watching the recording, thanks for joining us after the fact. Let's go ahead and start talking about some new features. So it's been a while since we had a release with Church360 Unite that was significant enough to share it. And that is because we've been spending the last several months working on this. Luke has invested a lot of time. We've had a lot of testing. We are very excited to share these features because it's a fairly significant change to Church360 Unite. So the first thing we're going to talk about is rows and cells. Not the most exciting for most people. I love rows and cells. I'm an Excel kind of guy. That's not the kind of rows and cells we're talking about. So let me switch screens. This is currently on what we call our staging environment, meaning it has not been released yet. So please don't try this on your Unite site right now. You won't see it. Our plan is to release it next week, and we'll send an email and everything once it's out there. But this gives you the sneak preview of what's going on. As you can see, not too much looks different other than the fact that it is a very empty page. What I want to show you is here under the edit mode. Edit page will hold in the sidebar, and things are a little bit different. The layouts that you had up here on the top, we had 6 different layouts. Those are gone now. You can recreate them, but all layouts will now be customizable based on how you would like them. And so on the right-hand side here, and I'll have to be careful, I've got my webinar thing showing up. So if you see me moving the mouse in some weird ways, that's all it is. It's moving my webinar controls out of the way. All right, so here is this cell. When you hover over it, it highlights. That's fairly familiar. The thing what's different are these little boxes on the right and the bottom and just above the top. If you go over the top, you'll see that expand. What you can now, or you will soon be able to do in Church360 Unite, is pick your configuration of rows and cells. So if I go over here to the right, I can add another one, and another one, and another one, up to 4 wide. And then I can drag and drop how I want them. I can expand and collapse, I should say. So you can see if I want to divide it into quarters, I do it that way. What I can also do is add more rows. So if I wanted to have 4 up and 1 down, I can do that. I can add another cell in here. In fact, I can keep going. I can add whatever I need. And that's going to provide you with a lot more flexibility in terms of how you build your site. And I've noticed there's definite trends in how people have used the different cell layouts in the past. You'll typically see more cells on the home page and fewer cells on the side pages. But you can do a number of different things now. So let's go ahead and show a few other things. If you want to take this cell up here, and we'll add some content shortly. And if I want to move it down here, I can do that. And then I can adjust this. If I want to remove a cell, I just click on that little setting card and click remove cell. And then the one remaining cell will fill that whole row. If I want to add a cell or a row in between them, I just go to that plus sign, click that, and it'll add a cell there. So what do you guys think?
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it adds a lot more customization for each church with ease.
Yeah. And one of the things we get different feedback where could you create a cell layout where it's 2 up and 2 down and all these different combinations, and we didn't have too many consistent ones where it was easy to say, okay, everybody wants this type.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about this for a while. I'm excited to.
I like being able to move the size of them as well. That's really nice.
One thing I should mention about that is the way that it'll work on mobile devices. So it will go basically row by row, left to right. So like this cell will be first, then the middle one, then the right one. Then it'll go to the next row and go left and then right. And so especially today, as mobile has become almost more common than desktop for most sites, people are visiting on their cell phones more than on their desktop. It's important to keep that in mind. So that's how that'll flow. So make sure that as you're doing it, you don't have these two, like the content that are in the cells, really aligned properly, because on a mobile they're going to be split up. So
is there a limit to the amount of rows that you can add to a page?
I don't think there's a limit at all. Nope, Blake's shaking his head. So you've got 4 cells. That is the max. And that really, it doesn't, like, when you start thinking about how you might use it, having more than 4 just gets too skinny. But yeah, no limit on the number of rows. All right, we got a couple questions. I'll go ahead and take these since we're talking about this right now. I'll expand it so I can actually read the questions. Can you have an empty space, or does it have to be a cell? Joel was asking that. You do have to have a cell there. You don't necessarily have to fill the content in, but it would look kind of weird if you just have a blank space. I could see doing something like this, where you might want to have like just almost like an empty sidebar. The thing to remember in that is that this will kind of collapse on mobile and then disappear. So you could put some blank paragraph breaks in there, but then you're going to have a weird open spot. So yeah, I don't think there's probably a good way of doing that that looks nice, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. Luke, do you see any trouble with leaving a cell empty?
No, not really. Except what you pointed out, there might be kind of a large white space when you collapse it down for mobile.
Okay. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, but you can test that out. Let's see. Kim is asking, and I gotta make sure. Oops, wrong mouse. I want to make sure that I can see the whole question. Can you make the row longer? Is it only that long? And can you pick some of those? Well, I'll come back to your second part in just a few minutes. So the row will expand as tall as you need it, and depending on how many cells you have, that's how wide it will go. And then will iPads see the website as the mobile stacked version? Eva's asking that. Most likely they won't. They'll see that desktop view. Most iPads, when they're in the landscape mode, will see that regular view. It might condense down a little bit, but it should not switch into mobile view. Even if you go to portrait, that should still be more of a condensed desktop view. All right, well, let's move on to the next thing. So that is rows and cells. The next thing that we've got is an updated editor. And we use a tool called CK Editor. This is something that you're all familiar with. If you go over this now, there is now an edit button. And that's going to be a little bit of a change. The reason for that is because of the drag and drop. If we left it open so that you could start editing, you wouldn't be able to drag and drop. And we found that to be a valuable enough thing that we wanted to add that in. So it's going to be a slight inconvenience at the start, but I think the benefits of being able to drag cells around is going to be well worth it. And so if you just click this little edit button there, it'll open up your cell and you can start using the new editor. Now, not too much has changed other than the appearance of this. You'll still have your styles here. So if you want to put that as a heading 1, you can do that. If you want to use any of these, the bold, italics, depending on your style, it might already be bold, like right there. You've got your text alignment, just like normal, bulleted list, ordered list, block quote, which is based on styling. You've got an undo and a redo if you have that. If you are selecting it, then you can link to, and you've still got those same kind of options. So a lot of people ask, how do I link to a file? Well, it's just like it's always been. You go to a link and then you upload a file, but that's one of those things. And then let's go back in here. You've got your horizontal line, your pictures. We'll look at that in just a few moments. Insert media, tables, your group link, which is the kind of a widget-like experience for linking to groups. And then next you have your HTML block. This is the biggest change right here, in that you can insert an HTML block, but you can't view the source of all of the items, which for right now, for anything that has custom code, it'll go ahead and put it into an HTML block. And this is really for security, for having good code on your site. The tool that we've put in here will clean up the code to make it, I don't know, properly viewed on different devices. Luke, would you have a better way of describing that?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. So if you need to embed code, like if you're embedding a video or something, you just use that HTML block. But let's go ahead and add a picture in here. So I'll go ahead and insert image. And I've got others on my site already. Let's go ahead. This is for a Bible study. Go ahead and put that in.
And this will help Kim because she got a phone call just when you answered the
Oh,
other.
you're right. Well, Kim, you can see this is all about adding the pictures in here. So you see as I add content in, the height of both the cell and the row expands. So now this becomes a different element in here, and I can do things like center it, or I can choose my alt text. So if you hover over it, this is my image. I can go full size, or I can change the width and say 100% and expand it all the way that way. So you've got these different options with images that used to be kind of hidden under a sub-menu, now are front and center for you. And then if you want to link to something, you click on that link for that image, and you can say a page or feed within my site, add that in there. And then you have to save this, and you save it in place. Now, here's one of the interesting things. When you hit save, that doesn't mean that that's been published yet. And we've changed the wording. I've got something on my screen you guys can't see there. We've changed the wording. It's now publish here, just to make sure you know that it's been saved. It's almost like in a sandbox mode or behind the scenes it's been saved. But if we go and we close out of edit page, that'll go away. So you get some in-progress work that when you go into edit, you come back to it. And that's what that little indicator is here, that you've got that change waiting to happen. So That's quite a bit different from a photo experience. In my opinion, is a lot improved because many people didn't see that before on editing the width, getting it for mobile devices, make sure it's not too large. What's nice about this, especially if you go with that kind of 100%, it'll fill up your cell on mobile devices as well too. Now you're going to want to watch image sizes and all that other kind of stuff that you typically do anyways. But then if you want to shrink it down, you just shrink the cell and it'll shrink to the proper size. So what do you guys think? Any questions about that new edit experience?
Say it's improvement.
Yeah, I like being able to go in and do something with the pictures like that.
So you're saving each cell and then afterwards
Publish
it.
Yep, right. Exactly. Now that is different. I should explain that. That's different than this published draft up here. So if you still have that in draft, that's not going to change that. It's just saving it to the page essentially. So there's two different experiences. This is based on the page. This is on the changes.
And Peter, explain the yellow dot again.
Sure. The yellow dot is saying that it hasn't been published yet. So if you go in here and publish it, now all of that is live based on the status, which this page is published, so you can go and pull it up. But if I go in here and I go to edit, and I start typing words, and I click save, now that one has a yellow dot, but the rest of it doesn't. So that way when I go in and I close out edit page, that'll go away because that change hasn't been published.
And then when you go back to make edits, you kind of are alerted that those have not been published.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, let's see what kind of questions we have here. What are the yellow dots? You got me there, kind of things. Do these changes affect how posts are created on feed pages also? The changes that we have under edits are, so this whole experience has changed on feeds as well. The rows and cells has not. It'll still be one primary cell and then the title as well. Luke, can you think of any other changes related to feeds?
No, I think just like you said, it's just one cell still.
Good. All right, very good. And that makes, because of the way that RSS feeds look, it's looking for that content there in that cell. All right, so that is the improved edit mode. Next up, for cell types. This is something that we are very excited to release, and this is something that we really couldn't release until we had the rows and cells. We have different cell types based exclusively off customer feedback, some of which we've had requests for a long time. So let me go ahead and we'll save this. And I'm going to add a new row up here. When I go over this row and I click on the settings cog, and for these guys here, I'm going to move the questions for right now so you can see what I'm doing. All right, if I click on the settings cog, I can edit cell type. The default cell type is what we call a rich text. That's the experience you just saw. Then we've got three cell types that we've added. We have carousel, feed, and calendar. Let's go through those one at a time. Carousel. We'll hit, what you do is you select the cell type, then you hit change. Then it's going to give you this kind of preview to show that it is a different cell type. Then when you click the edit button, it goes into a different experience, not that rich text edit experience, but the carousel experience. So you've got a few settings up here. We'll get to those in a second. The first thing we want to do is add an image. So we're adding one image here, and we'll go ahead and select it. We'll show what we've got already in here. Let's go with this one. Once I select it, and I can also upload here, it's that same kind of experience. Once I select it, I've got to click add, and it'll show that image right here saying that's been selected.
I think I know where we're headed, and I think I like it.
I know I like it.
Let's go ahead and click another one there. We'll go ahead and hit select, show more. Let's go with this one, and we'll add it in here. Now I can choose and say, well, I want the height to be 400. These images are not exactly the same size. Then I'll also set it to auto advance every 5 seconds. We'll go ahead and save. Now, this will still show this right here, saying that it is a carousel, and that'll be hidden. But as you go ahead and hit publish, then you can go and see what this experience is like live on the web. And you get these little arrows, so you can manually scroll through them, and then it'll also do that auto scroll. So this is something people
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge, because that allows you to show the different events, your Bible studies, your, special events, that's great.
We've had a lot of requests for this, and there's a lot of different ways people have asked to do it. I think we have accommodated just about all of them because, and that's getting it in there. So if you just have images that you want to rotate through, let's say you had an event and you want to do a photo gallery, that works there. Like you're talking about, you want to go to the different events, Ken. If you go in here, you can say, all right, this image, we're going to go ahead and link to what to expect. And then this one, maybe we're going to go to a URL. Now, one thing to note here, and we put this helper text in as a reminder, you've got to put the full URL in. If you just do like google.com, that won't work. But if you go https://google.com and save that.
Well, let's say you wanted to link to your VBS registration page.
Exactly. You can just copy and paste that URL, put it in there. We'll go ahead and hit save, publish those changes. And now that's ready to go. And so when you're on here, you can click to it, it'll open into a new tab, and you've got it right there.
Many of churches wanted to highlight their different ministries or certain unique groups of the church to rotate through there. And now they can do that, and then they can link directly to that group page from the scroll.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
You can fit a lot more in, especially on mobile devices. If you've got a lot that you're wanting to show, rather than have them scroll all the way through, you can put some of those key highlighted areas in there. Let's show something else. We'll go down here. I'm going to go ahead and remove that cell. We'll add a few in here. All right, let's go and let's say you wanted to have multiple Bible studies in one spot. If I go ahead here and I go change the cell type, we'll go here to carousel, I'll change it. Now, we'll remove my text, as you might expect. Then I go in here and edit. Let's add a few images, because there's a part of this I haven't shown yet, but I'm pretty excited to show. We'll add this one for men's Bible study. We'll add another one. I think the next one we got is couples Bible study. Go ahead and add that in. And these are all the same image size. I intentionally planned it that way. You've now got a heading on here that you can put in. We'll say men's Bible study, starting soon. And then we could link it to, let's set up a page. This could be couples Bible study, starting soon. We don't want to call these, and then women's Bible study, starting. I'll go ahead and save that. This is just this one cell. Publish that. Go out of the edit one. It goes ahead and does an overlay on that image with your caption, sub-caption. So even if you have different sized images, it gives this nice presentation.
Yes.
And again, what's cool is that it doesn't have to be the full width of it. And that was one of the things that we heard, is that we wanted the people on carousels, but they didn't always want it to be a banner.
Well, I like that too, because now you have two different carousels going.
Yep, exactly.
Peter, maybe scroll down and see if we have any more questions.
Oh yeah, good call. Let's see. Nope, that actually looks. There we go. Sorry about that for all the questions that I have missed. All right, so what about the pages we have done now? Do we have to redo our websites? Kim's asking that. No, Kim, you don't have to worry about that.
Good, that just crosses off that question I had.
It'll convert them into this format. If there's anything that has some interesting code on it, and there it is here. Look at the significant echo. Sorry, that's coming across next. But so Luke, you can just nod or shake your head no. Looks like your echo is coming across.
Oh,
but
sorry.
No, that's okay. Sorry about that. The pages should come across just fine with this new edit mode. It should convert in for you. All right, oops, wrong mouse, too many mouses, pardon me. The carousel is their recommended size ratio for best display on mobile devices. Squares will certainly work out well. That kind of ratio will work out just fine. I think one of the best ways to do it is to have your images be very similar and then set the height for that image. So like in here, if you've got a banner that is 400 pixels high, using the same image size, 400 pixels, and then setting your height to be that would be the best way to go across on that. But play around with it and see what works best for your site, because you might have, like I did, where one of them is a full width, one of them is a third. It's going to vary. So you'll want to test and see what works best for your site. There's a few other questions that we've answered. Let's see, can the images be linked also? Debbie's having some problems. She said, if you started, I'm still muted. You will be muted during this whole one. We're not turning the audio live for everybody. Let's see, can you schedule the pictures to change, or do you have to do it manually? You'll still have to do that manually. We don't have a scheduling tool for the pictures in here. And then answered Kim's question after she asked it, where would the caption go on the pics? And then on the carousel, is there a character limit on the heading or captions? Luke, is there a character limit?
There isn't. So I guess we'll leave it to your discretion to, if you have a longer heading, make it a pretty wide carousel.
That is a good call. So I would try not to put a novel when you're using a third cell. So, but again, that'll play around with it. And it's always good to test what you're doing on a mobile device too, to make sure how it works. So no character limit on headings and captions. And then will you do a webinar for ledger updates? When we have significant ledger updates like this, we absolutely will. All right, and then we'll come back to Kim's question in just a few minutes about the start, because we've got some more to show. All right, next up, that was 2 cell types. Then there's one.
But wait, there's more.
All right, let's go in here. So we'll remove this cell. I've been testing this with kind of a split cell. I think it works out well with that. We're going to go to this edit cell type. These will be a little bit more straightforward. The feed cell type. We'll go ahead and change that. You can see we've got that feed icon right there. If I click the edit button, it asks me to select one of my feeds. Now in this case, I only have one feed. Obviously, you can have as many feeds as you'd want. They're a lot of work, so keep them up, but pick which feed you want. You can show the feed title or not, and you can say the number of posts to show. So we're going to go ahead and say 3. We'll save that. We'll publish this. And I use Lauren Ibsen here. It is our sermons feed with the title of the post and the preview and some details, including the date and who posted. And then you just click on that, and it'll take you to that post. This is something we've had a lot of requests for too, and especially since feeds can be used for all sorts of things. Sermons is one example, but it could be your newsletter, your prayer requests. It's a great way to highlight things that are coming out new, on a periodic basis. Now you can have that come right into your homepage or to any other number of pages that you want. So, what do you guys think? You heard that request before?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I always say it's a great way to keep your page current and keep your members so that they keep coming back.
You got it. And this is one of the ones that does have a schedule to it. You can schedule the posts out. So that's another way you plan in advance, keeps your homepage up to date because the latest and greatest is there. So, good. All right, the next one is very similar to this. If you go in and we'll edit the cell type, you've got a calendar cell type. Change it to that. I've got my calendar icon. I'll click the edit button. It'll show which calendars you want to show events from. So right now I've got 3, and I'll show that in just a second. Let's go ahead and put all 3 in there. Let's save that, publish this. And it shows an update of things that are coming up for the next week. So you've got their Sunday, actually for this week, I should say. For the current week, you've got everything coming up, including the time, the event with a link to it, and what calendar it's on, as well as the location there. There's one there. So if you've got a lot on here, you may want to say, well, actually, let's go ahead and expand this a little bit more, give some more space to it. But you can do that. Now that's probably cramping your post a little bit too small. But take a look and see how it comes across. And this is going to be based on the styles of your site too, so you might have some different things. In the settings area under calendars, this is where you get to say where people see it. And it respects it if you're showing, to users. Like I would put the birthday on there and show everyone that view. It'll hide the things that are not supposed to be seen. But my recommendation is to keep your calendars that are public on there so it doesn't change whether people are logged in or out. That might confuse them, but you've got some flexibility there. So what do you guys think? You heard that calendar request before? I know I have.
I just know,
Yeah, I'm sorry, will it automatically update?
Yeah, it'll automatically update it.
Okay, next week.
Yep, go to the next week, everything else. It is similar to the feed in that it rolls out for you. But if you add an event that's happening during this week, or if you see something's not on there, you can just go add it to your calendar and it'll automatically update.
Is it a 7-day? I mean, if it today obviously is Tuesday, but it starts with the given Sunday of the week.
Yep.
And so it always will stay with that Sunday through Saturday. Okay.
That's how I've got it, yep.
I was just gonna say, I always lose my bulletin. So now I know I can always find where it's gonna be.
Always go there, absolutely. Well, and what's nice about this is that these pages, you can put additional details on them and have the discussion. And I think the event pages will get more use when they have more visibility as well. All right, let's see if we've got any questions. I've got one more feature to roll out. Excellent, fantastic, that rocks, super excited. The detail is there, the possibility to change it from the 3 most posts to 2 lines each to simply the most recent post in its entirety. There's the possibility of a lot of things. One of the things we want to do is roll this out to get your feedback and see what is going to be most important. So if you have ideas on how to improve this, let us know. Because now that we have this infrastructure in place, not only can we improve these cell types, we can always add more cell types. It's going to be a lot easier to do that. We just want to hear from you what the most important ones are. What are we missing now that we've added this? What's next? So just let us know. And then Joel's asking for the rolling calendar. That's kind of what you were talking about, Dave. So that's something that we'll consider adding on. I can see a lot of benefit to doing that. And so these are the kind of things that we're excited now that we've got this out. We'll get even more ideas and more specific ideas on how to use that. And that's been one of the cool things to see as our products have been out for a while. The feedback that we get is more and more specific, and we're hoping to get even more and more granular with this.
For those who might not know how to provide feedback, can you click the I and show?
Good call, Stephen. You click that I here. Let me move my webinar thing that you guys can't see. So you can click the I, and this is where our help center is. You just go in, send us a message, and you put a quick subject in there, say just quick feedback for you. It'd be great if we could do this. And it goes to our support team. They feed it into our feedback system, which sends it out to everybody on the team. So basically within a few seconds after submitting that, Luke's going to see that pop up in the feed. I'm going to see that pop up. We compile this. We discuss it in our weekly meetings. So it is very transparent. Everybody gets that. So thanks for bringing that up, Stephen, because yeah, that's so important that you know the quickest and easiest way to get feedback to us. All right, one last thing. I'm already over my time. I apologize. The last one is something that it's really interesting to see as feedback changes over the years. This is something that's come up quite a bit since we started working on it. And it's a rather detailed thing. It's SSL certificates. If you are not familiar with what that is the security that goes up on your website. You can see a little lock icon up in your URL bar there. And I don't know all the technical details of it, but it is becoming more and more important for websites for a couple of reasons. One is obviously security. And we've had this for a while when, if I go ahead and I sign out, when you are going in to sign into your website, we have had that security on there. It's most important when you're submitting forms, which of course is when you sign in. And so we've had that security in place for quite a while, but that uses our domain, 360unite.com. And that's been one of the sticking points with it, is that it's been expensive to have that certificate because you have to have it for each domain. And in some cases, it was more expensive than the website itself. So for those places where you need to sign in, SSL certificate was in there. And then once you signed in, you had that security in place. So that's been in place for, I think that's been a couple of years now that we've had that. What we're talking about now is allowing you to have that for your custom domain. So if you have mychurch.org, you'll now be able to do that. And we've been testing it out with some of the people who specifically have asked for it. And we're going to be rolling it out to everybody very shortly. If you want to be one of the first to get that, you can send me a note. And let's see here. There we go. Send me a note in my email and say, I'd really like to be one of the first to. Depending on how your domain is set up, it might be a different process. So if we manage your domain here at CTS, we can go ahead and turn that on for you. And you can try it out. It takes a little bit of time to propagate, so it won't be an instant thing, but it should be within the first 24 hours that everybody's getting it. Many people will experience it within the first few minutes. Just a matter of caching and everything else. If you manage your domain, I'll send you the instructions on how to do that. Very shortly, we'll be rolling out the instructions into the domain part of the settings. But it's live right now where we can set that up for people. One of the reasons this is becoming so important is because of search engine optimization. Google is deprioritizing sites that don't have SSL. So we're looking at this from a two-sided coin. One, we want everything to be secure. And I think we've covered that for the long period of time because anywhere where you've signed in, you've had that. But two, we want you to have good SEO. We want you to show up in search rankings. This is a key part of that, having your domain on there. The best part to all of this is that it's not going to cost our customers anything. So it's going to be something that we will just roll out with the pricing. We've got a great system for handling that. It'll keep your certificates current, up to date. You won't have to worry about it. After we get this initial setup, you'll be good to go. So we'll slowly be rolling that out over the next several weeks and ultimately the next several months. One of the downsides to this is as we get ready to launch this, we can't have a both and. So at some point, we've got to have everybody on SSL. We've got to update your DNS records. And so we'll be sending out notification about that. At a certain point, we'll be contacting those customers who have not set that up yet. So this is going to be important. We're going to work with you to get that. Again, if we're managing your domain, we'll take care of it for you. Just let me know you want to be one of the first ones. If you're managing the domain, there will be some things on your end. And then we'll send you those instructions. It's really not a difficult thing. It does take a few minutes for every site. And so that's why we can't just snap our fingers and have it happen for everybody, because each site has to have a manual change. But I'm pretty excited to launch this. It's one of those things where, once you buy a car, you start seeing it everywhere. Once we start working on this, we start getting all sorts of requests. When can we get SSL? When can we get SSL?
It's so critical these days.
It is.
So good. That's good.
Yep. And the technical side of things, Luke can talk to, although you'll probably get that echo, so I'm a little worried about that. All right, so that answered one of those questions right there from Eva. What is the cost associated with it? Don't worry, it won't cost anything. So we've been testing out. Everything's been working great. Now we're going to start rolling it out. So just let me know, and we'll get that going. All right, we've got one last question, and then I think we'll wrap up. If you have any other questions, you can email me at that, or you can put it into the support lines. I'd say email me right now because we haven't launched it yet. So our support team is not ready to support this yet because you don't have it yet. But I can answer any questions about what's going to be coming. So next one, wondering if we could have a group page that could have a different theme for the rest of the website than we can do ourselves. That'll be a good thing for feedback. We've talked about that, having a different theme for different pages. We don't have that right now, but I think with the new rows and cells, you'll have some greater flexibility in terms of how you can make sites look different than before. Your theme will still be the same, but the content can look really different.
Peter, I had one question if we have time.
Yeah.
It relates to that, because I was wondering, how is this going to work with different templates, different themes?
It really won't affect it much at all because what goes into that, in fact, we can go ahead and just switch a theme.
Yeah, switch a theme out and let's see.
Let's go ahead and go to this nice right. All right. There you go. That's that simple. You'll notice that my styles have changed.
Styles change, colors change, but
yeah. But all of this is right in there.
Again, that's one of the things I love about Unite is being able to put different themes into it. And then having this added, customization on top of it is going to be fantastic.
Yep. One of the things we pride ourselves on is we don't oversell our themes. Some people will say, well, we've got like 96 themes or whatever. Well, no, we've got 96 different colors and stuff, but you've got a lot of flexibility on changing your site.
Okay.
So yeah, it makes it that simple. You don't have to worry about paying extra for a new theme. You don't have to worry about the changes you make going away. So it's pretty exciting. Well, thank you guys. Do you have any other last questions before I sign off?
It looks good.
Great. Excellent.
Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, thanks, Luke.
Good job, Luke.
It's been a long time in coming. I know this is something Luke has wanted to do and has been working on quite a while getting this up and running. So, Luke, any final words?
Nope, nothing from me.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you to all of you who attended. And again, if you have any final questions, go ahead and send them to me. If you want your domain set up with SSL, go ahead and send me a note. We'll start that next Monday. And actually, going back to Kim's question, when will we roll this out? We'll be rolling this out next week. Our plan right now is Tuesday night. Shouldn't have any real downtime or anything. And we'll be posting blog posts and everything. Along with that, we'll have some other videos that we'll share. So yeah, look for that come Wednesday morning. And then with SSL, let me know. I'll start working on those on Monday after the holiday. We'll start rolling that out to anybody who wants it. So.
And I'd love to see the changes people are making to their site.
That's a good call.
I'd love to see what people are doing with this new feature.
Thank you for bringing that up. If you change your site, let us know. Send us a note and say, hey, take a look at what we did. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Ken, as he's going out and meeting with churches individually, we'll pull up different sites and show them and say, look at what they've done. So we'd love to show off your site.
Yeah, we sure would.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. You guys all have a great rest of the day and happy Thanksgiving. Now I have to figure out how to end the webinar.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.